work. I'm currently in DP2.
Yes, I'm Kaman. I'm studying at the International School and currently in IGCSE.
How aware are you about a woman's reproductive health?
I'd say I'm very much aware. I studied biology for a couple of years now.
I'd say I'm pretty aware on a scale of 10, maybe a 7 or an 8.
How mature would you be if someone, as a female, discussed menstrual problems with you? Would you be uncomfortable about it, or?
I don't think it would bug me in any way. I think it's like, for me right now, it's just a normal conversation. It doesn't bug me or make me uncomfortable in any way.
No, definitely not. Because I have grown in an environment that has allowed me to interact with a lot of open females who are expressive and are comfortable talking to me about this.
How do you think the surrounding society and around you shaped you to be able to discuss these issues?
Like I said, I grew up in an environment where I was able to freely communicate and talk about these things with everyone around me. Even the girls in my class and my family are able to freely talk to me about this, and there is no discomfort between us during these conversations. So this environment really helped me a lot to be mature about these topics. However, there are a lot of people who do not get exposure to this kind of environment. We need to fix that.
I think so, because like right now the place and time we're in, I think it's helping young kids especially. Like nowadays you see a lot of seminars for kids and all, which introduce the topic at a young age. I think that makes it easier for young boys or whoever it is to get their mind adapted to the topic.
Would you advocate for social awareness about a woman's reproductive health, or would you not really care about this?
I would actually advocate for it. I've already advocated for it. There has been a lot of seminars I did on women's menstrual health and all. Like I think that helps kids get more mature, because it's not something kids should not be aware of. Even no matter how old they are, they should at least have a basic understanding of what the opposite gender is going through.
What do you think about the society which cannot talk about these issues or topics? Like, how would you help them?
Help them, I guess there's only one way, just by spreading awareness. Maybe some posters or some interviews like this would actually help them understand how important the issue is and how to make it actually better.
Well, first off, we need to remove the discomfort from the society. This can be done by exposure or being open with each other. Being able to freely discuss their problems and discuss the needs eliminates such discomfort from the society. Apart from this, spreading awareness through campaigns or anything that is able to affect people and convince them that it's okay.
Do you think there should be changes implemented to society, or is it just something that has to be done on its own?
I think it has to be done on its own. Because now if you force change, in my opinion, it'll change backwards.
Could you elaborate?
Like if you push for something too much, something else might rise. If you give it its own time, like let's take nature for example. If you try to make a new forest on its own, you wouldn't do that. If you give it time, it will make it on its own. Like that.
I have an additional question to ask. You said you already have performed some seminars to spread awareness about this topic. How has that created any change in the way they acted towards this certain topic?
At the beginning of the seminar, we actually decided to do the seminar because of some issues that were going on in that class. So after that, the number of issues related to that topic actually completely stopped. Like the issue was like, boys were making fun of girls and all. So now after that, it actually stopped, and now I think it's much better.
Okay, thank you.
Do you yourself inspire other individuals to have this mindset?
No, not personally. I don't.
Can I ask why?
This topic doesn't really come up because in the environment I grew up in, like my classroom or my family, everyone is already mature enough to be able to comfortably talk about this. There are not a lot of people that I interact with who are uncomfortable about this topic.
Okay, so if you were put into a scenario where there was this male who was not aware and was shaming or not rightfully treating a person, a female who was sharing their problems with this male, how would you react?
Well, I would try to convince him that it's okay, or I would directly console the female first because priorities.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
No problem.
Basically, let me start off. Could you introduce yourself first?
My name is Sahasra and I'm studying in 10 IGCSE.
Alright, so let's start with each. My first question is, when did your menstrual cycle start?
When I was 13 years old.
Which grade were you in?
8.
Do you talk about your period with people of the opposite gender?
Not often because it tends to be quite awkward.
Okay. Do you believe in any superstitions during the period?
Though I'm not the best, most fan of superstitions and all, my grandparents are very religious and they believe in several superstitions like sitting aside when you're on your period or not touching anyone and not going to temples. But personally, I'm not the biggest fan of them, though I realize that they have scientific reasons. Some of them have scientific reasons behind them.
What about your parents?
They're in the middle, if that makes sense. Depending on the particular superstition and how how effective it might actually seem to them.
Why do you think, what do you think is the exact reason for women not being able to do certain stuff on periods?
Well, at that time, it's they're really vulnerable, I guess, in the sense that they're more prone to, let's say, getting sick, and they're definitely not going to be as active as usual. Not in the sense that they won't be able to do the same things that they usually do, but it's scientifically said that when you're on your period, you're probably going to be more prone. For me, whenever I'm on my period, I'm mostly going to get sick a lot of the times. So I guess for that reason, they try to give them more rest, and for that reason, the superstitions usually exist.
Have you ever went against the superstitions in cases of emergencies, or even if it wasn't?
Not necessarily in the case of emergencies, but if my grandparents aren't at my house, I do not sit aside because, you have to go to school. You have to do these things. If you take 1 week off every month, then you're not going to be able to do anything. It's not going to work. So, yeah, of course, it's kind of inevitable.
Were you ever aware of reproductive health, such as periods and everything before you got them?
Yeah, we had classes before our during 6th and 7th we used to have classes talking about this and explaining it to a more depth than was actually required, but yeah.
How do you think the surrounding society around you shaped you to be able to discuss these topics and issues with others?
I think it's made it more awkward. I don't think it's really helped me talk more freely. I think it's made it more hard to talk because of the way that periods are treated. They're not really seen as something that's natural. They're something that is felt to be really private and not to be discussed.
Do you think there should be changes implemented to society, regarding our freedom and ability to express?
Yeah, I think it should definitely be made less awkward because it's something that happens every month, every week. It's just normal. Everyone knows about it. So I don't see a reason for it to be something that should be awkward while you're talking about it. It should be something that's okay. We all recognize that it exists. And I don't see a reason for it to be more private than it is.
And that's the end of the interview. Thank you. When did you get your first period?
Oh, when I was 9.
Oh, really? So soon?
Yeah, I guess I had an early start.
Alright. Did you talk about your period with people of the opposite gender?
Yeah, I've talked about it with my father, my friends. It's not really a sensitive topic.
And do you believe in not going to the worship room during your period? Were you raised with those beliefs?
No, my parents don't really care about it, but I feel like my grandparents do because they're more religious. But really, I don't believe in like that sort of culture.
How do you think, why do you think your grandparents believe that religion and periods are connected?
It might be because of the generation gap, because like back then, I guess it was taken more seriously, and they didn't have the technology that we do today. So it was probably more unsanitary. And it's more about their upbringing. Maybe their parents raised them in a different way.
Were you aware of periods before you got them?
Yeah, since I was very young, my mother told me when I was like in first grade or so.
Do you believe this helped you later on in life?
Yeah, when I was ready for it when it came, so I guess it was better for me since I knew what to do and it was more helpful.
Have you ever considered using different products using different feminine products such as tampons or menstrual cups? Or-
No, because like I think they're in some ways less hygienic, and also I feel like it'll be more uncomfortable to use.
Alright. And are you aware of other reproductive issues such as ovarian cancer or polycystic syndrome? Are you aware of these issues or were you only told about periods? And
No, I'm well aware of those issues. Like I know about endometriosis as well. Like it can cause a lot of pain during the first period. And I know about ovarian cysts. There's cervical cancer. There are plenty of reproductive issues that actually go unacknowledged in minorities, such as like transgender people and other like minority villages. Like there's less healthcare for them. So it's really important that we consider these issues.
do you think the stigma surrounding this whole women's reproductive topic has contributed to these issues?
Excuse me, could you repeat?
Do you think the stigma surrounding this whole women's reproductive topic has contributed to these issues? Like if women were more aware of like periods and reproductive health, we wouldn't have had these issues?
Yeah, because like if we told everyone during the primary education, during the secondary education about all of these issues, they wouldn't have this problem. They'd know exactly what sort of healthcare they need. They could give advice to their loved ones. But like in the past, also it depends on the generation. Our parents, maybe your parents weren't taught all of this in school, and they end up not teaching us, and it becomes a cycle where nobody knows about these sort of problems, and it can just lead for more problems in the future generation.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank
And my first question is, how many kids do you have? I have one daughter. She's 8 years old. Okay.
And when did your menstrual cycle start?
It started when I was in grade 7. That is just I attained 12 years old. So I got the very first day I cut my cake, and the next day I got my period. So that was the experience. Like I couldn't enjoy my birthday also properly. So 12 years old I got my first periods.
Do you talk about your period with people of the opposite gender?
No, I don't remember that I have spoken about it to any of the opposites gender till now. Right.
Why? Why?
Mostly like I never felt that necessity to tell because I was being taught that I should be quite comfortable with whatever the way I am, and then we don't tell that and we don't consider that to be as one of the major part that has to be expressed, and I never felt that, so I have never expressed it to anyone.
What do you believe in any superstitions during your period, such as not stepping into the puja room or going into the kitchen?
Actually, I believe a lot. I don't know whether it is called superstitions or what, but my mother-in-law always used to tell that whatever we do, that is for like ladies to get some rest during those days. So most of the work we don't do on those days, like hard work, like like sweeping, mopping, washing clothes, and all. We don't do that. So we try to take as much rest as possible. And going to puja room, yes, I don't feel need within myself that I can do puja, but apart from that, if there is any other reason for that, I have no idea, but then I don't go and do puja during those days.
Do you believe in the superstition that we shouldn't touch this or that we shouldn't touch that part of our period?
Yes, that has come from my grandma actually. She was the one who used to tell like we should not be touching most of the things that are being kept like especially like pickles and all. And I was being told and I never tried to find out the reason behind it, and now I don't feel like touching those things. So I don't know whether there is any scientific reason for that. I never tried to find out. But yes, I don't touch such things. There are many things that I don't touch. During those days, I don't sit on somebody else's bed also, because I feel that I might stain those places, so I don't sit because my flow is always very heavy. So I try to avoid such things as well.
Have you ever went against these superstitions at all? Even with exceptions during emergencies or other situations?
Like, can you please elaborate the question a little bit? Like, what do you want to know about it?
Like, for example, we left a very important document within the worship room or something, and we need to get it out because it's a bank document. Have you ever went against these superstitions to go?
Yeah, like we always keep consider our lockers also to be very, auspicious place. Like we keep our ornaments, we keep our currencies and all. We consider that also, but then when it is required, it is required. So we take out things from there. So we don't wait for the day or like wait for somebody else to help us out. So that definitely we do.
Were you ever aware of the menstrual cycle before you got it?
No. I have seen my friends, they used to complain about stomach ache and all. And for me, I used to think that it is because of like eating unhealthy. And I never thought that like that also can be one reason until and unless I experienced that. So most of my friends actually, they were like with good built body, so they got when they were in grade 4 only. I got when I was in grade 7. And when they were complaining also, like they were also not that clear in what they are trying to tell, and I never tried to know. So for me, I was quite innocent till the time that I got my first one. So I didn't know anything about it. And even for the first time when I got also, I was quite ignorant about it. I didn't know what's happening until and unless like my aunt told me, my mom told me, and they explained me what actually it is.
How do you think the surrounding society around you regarding the social stigma around these topics and issues shaped you to be able to discuss these?
No, ours is like quite rigid in all this thing. They never allowed us to discuss about all this, so we never did that. And then we have a custom like when girls get their first one, we are being kept in one of the corner of the house. So I stayed for 9 days in one corner. My food was to be provided there. They used to give everything there only, and I can step out only to go to the washroom. And for the first 4 days, I didn't even take bath because we were not allowed to. Then on the fourth day, our like ladies, they used to come, they do some puja and all, and they give me the first bath with like turmeric and a few lentils and all that in our place they prepared. So with that, like holy bath was given to me. Then that is the fourth day, and after that, on I think ninth day, a celebration was being done in my house. It was a very grand one. So like that, our place, we don't meet any gents during those days. So I was completely out from the society for those particular days, and it was only ladies who used to come and provide me food. Then during the night, I was not allowed to have rice. I can have only once in a day. So, and that too, like after sunsets, I am not supposed to have anything related to, like grains and all. So, I can have only during the daytime. So, by 4 o'clock, everything used to get over like that. Strict rule, mandatory to follow, and we followed like that.
Alright, that's it for the questions, ma'am. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. I'm here to interview you about my GBT project. What's your name? Could you introduce yourself? Okay, so this topic is about the societal stigma. surrounding women's reproductive health issues and how it affects like more people dying, more women dying. All right. Did you get your menstrual cycle yet? No. How much are you aware about reproductive health? 50%. Like, how much are you aware about?
Well, I kind of like I know a little bit about how babies are made, but there's nothing else about it after that.
What about menstrual health? Nothing. Do your parents or do any females in your family follow any superstitions during the period?
We believe that we're not supposed to go into the puja room, and the first period a girl gets, they're supposed to stay in the room for 4 to 12 days.
What do you think is the reason behind these beliefs?
Mostly God superstitions that pujaris don't do.
Do you think there are any scientific reasons or anything?
I don't think so.
Would you be willing to follow these superstitions as you get older?
I mean, as I get older, probably not. If I had a daughter, probably not. But for myself, I'm pretty much confident.
Do you talk about like menstrual health and reproductive health with anyone, like your parents, your friends in your class?
Not at all.
What about people of the opposite gender? At all?
No, not at all. It doesn't really come across at all.
How do you think the surrounding society shaped you to talk about these topics? Like, are you more open-minded?
Some people, they tell me, like, aunties and uncles, they tell us that we shouldn't be talking about this with boys and anything, but really, when it comes to education, we're going to have to learn about it, and I don't think it's that bad. I mean, boys are going to find out about it. One day their daughters are going to have it, so it's fine if they're going to.
All right. Would you ever maybe discuss this as you get older? Would you ever maybe discuss these topics later on with your friends, family, maybe even your husband later on?
If it's necessary, yes, but not necessary.
And were you ever told to keep these stuff a secret by anyone?
Not anyone really close to me, but yes, some people.
All right. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Sahasra. Hi, I'm Snigdha, and today we're going to be talking about the stigma surrounding women's reproductive health and how it impacts mortality rates globally. After a careful evaluation of all of our research and sources, me and my teammate have had numerous discussions on this topic and how it would be best to combat this issue, so that more women are aware about their reproductive health and can take better care of themselves, so that we don't see this increase in mortality rates due to these issues. And the best solution that we have come up with is to raise awareness, which is what we are also doing by this video. There are ways that you can contribute to the change too. First, you can start by changing your mindset within yourself. If you have any false misconceptions or misunderstandings about this issue in your mind, please change them. Then you can start by educating others and talking to peers. In India, there are many stigmas around women's reproductive health and how it's a taboo topic to talk about in society. And it's a shocking fact, but most of these stigmas weren't there back then. There weren't as many superstitions. In fact, during the Vedic period, which had its effects till 200 BCE, Women had the same rights as men, and they had the same education opportunities, the same property rights. They were equal to men in every sense of the way. They could perform pujas during their menstruation, their menstrual cycle. They had education, but this started to fade after the Vedic period, and then women became suppressed. They slowly lost their rights. They were no longer allowed in temples during menstruation because they were considered impure, which in fact the reason was that during the Vedic period, people just wanted the woman to rest for those 5 days. But that later became a whole superstitious thing. And these stigmas now negatively impact our life in India a lot. Ask women from rural villages, they will tell you, as a person in an international school, this isn't something that we face as much, but it's still there. We can't be as free as we once were.
In my Indian household, there are many superstitions related to this issue. One of the very popular ones is that I cannot discuss my menstrual issues with people of the opposite gender, no matter how much of a close bond I share with them. Another superstition that my family believes is that I cannot go to temples or touch objects that belong in kitchens. I definitely do not understand why I cannot perform these tasks, so I approached my mom about it. And when I did, I was told to, quotations, shut up and follow what I said. Ever since that, I have not approached anyone, and I kept my menstrual problems to myself. We need to take actions to stop this issue.
Women's reproductive health is a global issue, and their awareness about their own reproductive health is something that varies depending on the cultural perspective. We've created a list of different cultural perspectives around the globe and how they react to women's reproductive issues, and how aware they make their own women about these issues.
In America, there is more of an open culture and more women empowerment movements are being made. So with that being said, women are more likely to be free and willing to share about their menstrual cycle issues with other women or men.
India's cultural perspective about women's reproductive health varies very differently from America's cultural perspective. In India, women's reproductive health is something that's supposed to be kept secret and not very talked about, as there's a very big stigma surrounding it. Nowadays, women are being more encouraged to talk about their problems and their menstrual issues and their reproductive health with others. Before, it was not as common, and it was considered highly improper in society to talk about these issues at all with others. After the Vedic period, this was due to superstitions and such.
In China and other Asian countries, the situation is similar to India's. However, in China, the situation has been improving due to recent and modern feminist movements.